Can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
It is here. Everybody, we've waited all summer to say this. Fall sports, everyone's underway officially. Welcome to a Thursday episode of Running Point on YSN. It is D-Day, whatever you want to call it. It is time to start the football season tonight. And, tonight, tomorrow night, and Saturday, we are so busy. And we are never too busy, though, for a head coach from Edison, and that is head coach Mike Colapi, who has become a mainstay on our show. Wearing different hats, throwing the baseball one off for a little bit, putting the football hat on. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Coach, I mean, first and foremost, one thing that seems to be a running theme is just Edison consistently getting better year in and year out. You guys have been consistently improving, and I think the kids have been doing a great job of buying in. What does the team look like, and what do the kids look like? What's that situation look like for this 2022 edition of the Wildcats?
Well, hopefully that trend continues. I think we had a good offseason starting in January in the weight room. Then it carried over. We had some after-school agilities, and then into summer workouts and conditioning in the camp, and obviously in the doubles. I feel like we've gotten better. I think that our kids have been through we challenged them starting in January, and they responded to the challenge. We pushed them as hard as anybody's ever been pushed before, at Edison. So hopefully we continue to improve, and we're excited for tonight.
Coach, let's go over this roster and shout out some big names that Edison fans should be looking out for this season, and who you think you're going to be leading on for not just vocal leadership, but emotional and energetic leadership as well.
Well, I mean, that's a really good question, but I don't really think we have a leader. I think we have a bunch of guys that have a common goal to be good, to be the best they can be as teammates, to make our team better. I feel like as far as strength, I think we have the potential, and again, potential to have a really good offensive line. Obviously we're returning a quarterback that's been a 4-year starter. We return a couple of running backs, a receiver and a tight end. We've added some guys too that I think will help us out. Offensively, you never want to be one-dimensional. There's only a few teams that are statewide known to be able to be one-dimensional. They're really good at what they do. Ideally, we like to be able to spread the ball around, be able to take what the defense has given us. So that's kind of our plan going into this year. And defensively, you got to be able to tackle. You got to be able to be fundamentally sound. You have to be aligned, know your assignment, and be able to execute it.
I mean, in this trend too, and what we've seen in recent years, you guys go from no wins a year ago to just consistently doubling wins from each year. What have been the improvements that you've seen from the kids' part, and what have really been the turn of the tide, I guess, for this Wildcat team that you've seen?
Well, I can't really speak too much on the past couple of years, but I just know from last year, this year, our kids have shown that they're willing to be good teammates. They're willing to work hard. They're willing to be coachable. I feel like our coaches communicate with the players really well. And I feel like, the players know that we're going to be really hard on them because we want to get them better than they believe they can be. So I'm really, pleased with the coachability, the work ethic, and, that we've shown some toughness early, but, like I said, you get, we told the guys on Tuesday, you never look behind, you can't look ahead. The president's going to smack you in the face. So we got to be ready to go one play at a time tonight.
Coach, when you look at the schedule as a whole, obviously you're ultimately focused on tonight, but as a schedule in the conference you play in, how competitive is it? What kind of things do you expect from this schedule, and how much do you think it's really going to test you and get you ready for a hopeful playoff run?
Well, as far as our schedule, I think every week is a test. Like we talk to, we as coaches talk, and we talk to the kids. No matter how old you are in the coaching game, you were a player once, and the way we think as adults is not the same way they think as kids. The hardest thing to do is the easiest thing to say is to try to improve daily, to concentrate on the task at hand, that practice, that rep. If you're stretching, not worried about Indy, what period's next. We talk about our schedule. Our schedule is our schedule. Our conference is our conference. Those are all things, conferences out of our control. So we try to control the controllables. I know that's kind of, coach speak, but it's honestly the truth. You try to control what you can control. Every week is a 1 week season. You got to focus everything on that one game, and then for better or for worse, move on, after that.
And you talk about this conference that you guys play in too. One of the tops of that was Beaver Local last year, and you guys pushed them and gave them everything you had. I think it really opened some eyes too to what this Edison football team brings. Looking at this schedule this year, and where do you think there's some points where you guys are going to be tested? And is this conference really in sight for Edison football this year?
Yeah. Well, I think we'll be tested tonight for sure. Monroe Central is a outstanding program. Their coach, Jay Sarcosta, is a Hall of Famer. He was their former coach. Their current coach has done an outstanding job. Monroe Central has, they're a little bit further away from us towards Columbus, but they have a rich tradition in football. And a lot of teams on our schedule, it's the same thing. We have, whether it's conference or non-conference, the High Valley as a whole, or Ohio State as a whole, is a football state. And, talking to different people, we've been blessed to have really good baseball players, and we've had a lot of success in baseball. But on our area, your school is identified by your football team. And, we're hoping to continue to make improvements. We want to field a team that's fundamentally sound, very aggressive, a team that our community can relate to and get behind. So.
And you talk about that community. It's easy to get behind these kids because ever since we started covering Edison, and it's been a great run to cover Edison, we have realized that the kids inside this school system are just high-class individuals. The character is everyone we talk to, the character is high. What do you think it is about this Edison school system that breeds such high character class kids and helps them, be doing things the right way?
Well, I think it starts with the families. I think we have a lot of great families that produce really good kids in our school system. We're kind of, in the country, a rural school district. We have a lot of kids that were brought up, from very old fashioned, old school is kind of a term that's thrown around, but, they're raised the correct way. Obviously just because they're raised well doesn't mean they always make good decisions. They're teenagers. But it all starts with the families. And then once you get into the structure of our school district, it starts up above. We have an outstanding school board that is academically and sports minded. Our superintendent, Mr. Bill Beatty, has done an outstanding job. He was actually our head coach. He was our first and only coach until upon his retirement when I took over for him. And since he's been superintendent, he's had the same success as far as being able to, get things accomplished. Our district was in a way different situation, when he stepped into it, and whether, no fault of anybody else, he came into a situation and improved it immediately. We have outstanding facilities. We have brand new baseball, softball, football stadium. We just built a brand new field house that seats, I think 2,000 and some. There's a lot of positives. And then obviously we have, the teachers, and, we have a lot of adults in various positions that I think are really good mentors for the kids. And I think the kids realize, that whether it's in the classroom or on the field, that you have adults that really care about you. And I think, when you get that, I think that means a lot. I think you get the best out of, whatever student it is, athlete. So Edison's a special place. I didn't go to Edison. I grew up in Wintersville. I went to Steubenville Central. but I've been in the Edison School District for 24, 25 years now. I can't remember. It's, once you get so far along, you kind of lose track. I try not to think about how long, but it's a special place. And I'm very lucky, to have had an opportunity to, to get hired there. And I've done a good enough job that they decided to keep me. So hopefully I continue to do a good job.
You mentioned the parents caring about them too, and when you're able to get things such as the new facilities, new field houses, do you feel like as a coach it's easier to get kids to buy into a program than when they see these things like a new facility being built for them?
Yeah, well, kind of touch off, our community is outstanding, and the whole project itself, there was a complete commitment from our school district, but our community members were the ones that supported that. So I think that's a good reflection of how much our community cares about, the students and the athletes at Edison. To go back off of your question, having nice facilities is like having a nice house. It's what goes on inside the house. I think the kids are obviously excited. Everything looks great. It's way different. I think the excitement's there, but you as a coach still has to do the best job for the players, because like I said, you can have an outstanding house. It's, awesome on the outside, and you go in, it's a train wreck, kind of like my house is right now, because I'm not too much of a help. Then you can have an older house that you walk into and everything's in order, and it's outstanding. There's family, it's all family oriented. So it just, like I said, the facilities, to answer your question, are outstanding. The kids get excited, but like I said, you got to feed off that, and you can't just rely on that, because you would do them a disservice as a coach.
Well, you just said it, a very family-oriented community in Edison, but I want to give you the chance to talk about your family. And like you said, you're not a big help around the house right now. Yeah. They obviously make some sacrifices to let you coach not just football but baseball. I want you to just be able to talk about them and how much it means to you that they are able to put in that sacrifice and let you do what you love.
Well, family is everything. We have. My wife and I have been married for 18 years, and we have 2 daughters. My wife is Kelly, who was Basil. She was an outstanding track athlete at Steubenville High School. We knew each other in high school, but we didn't kind of, meet until we were both in college. And she's awesome. The support that she gives me, and I appreciate it, because I was talking to Coach Dave Bruni, who was a legendary coach down at Martins Ferry. He's retired, Hall of Famer. And he asked me about coaching 2 sports. And, before I said anything, he said, you must have an outstanding wife that understands what a coach's, wife has to do and what it entails. And I said, she's the best. It all starts with her. I have 2 daughters. I have a daughter that's going to be a sophomore at Edison High School. She plays soccer and girls basketball. She's awesome. I've had 2 daughters, and, just like any guy that, they always wanted a son, but, once Amelia was born, it was something where, I think it honestly made me a better person. I think it actually helped me in every walk of life, teaching, coaching, then we had our second daughter, Dara, who's going in the 6th grade at Stanton. And she is a soccer and basketball player as well. Both of them are outstanding students. They're good kids, just like, most adults or parents that I talk to. I'll talk about their kids I was talking to a parent, I think it was Wednesday, about how great his sons are. And, every parent sees the other side of it at home, where, when you live together, things can be a little bit different. But, I'm very proud of them. They're very supportive too. I'm not an easy guy to live with in season. I can be very moody and irritable. There's certain things that, they're out of your control as a coach, but I think most coaches are, they're so used to, trying to, and I mean control, not like control kids. It's just circumstances and, game planning. And there's a little bit of tension there, and they're outstanding. They, like I said, they support me, and, they go to the games, and, I really appreciate all of them.
Well, Coach, we'd always like to also make sure that we highlight the coaching staffs of all these teams. I know you can't do it by yourself, so I want to give you a chance to highlight the 2022 edition of the coaching staff for the Wildcats?
Well, I'll 100% say that it is definitely not me. We have outstanding coaches. We have Jason Fogel, who's our offensive line coach. He's outstanding. He's been in Edison for, I think, five years or so. He was at Toronto previously. Anthony Pirro is our offensive coordinator. He wasn't the offensive coordinator at Carrollton, but he was at Carrollton for a handful of years. He played at Steubenville Big Red, was an outstanding athlete there, played college baseball. Like I said, he's our offensive coordinator. Frank Marcino is another offensive line coach that we have. He works with Coach Fogel. He was at Steubenville Catholic Central for several years. He was the head offensive line coach there. We have Nolan Marcus, who's a former player of ours, and I coached him in both sports. He has the receivers and safeties and helps out with our special teams. He does our strength in the summer and during the school year, and there's huge credit to him. Our kids have gotten a lot stronger, and that's not a negative towards anybody else, but Coach Marcus gets them in there. He pushes them. It's not always easy. It's not always fun, but I think once kids see results, they work harder than they tend to would have before. We have Coach Vinny Marcino, former player of ours. He has the fullback and he helps out with the linebackers with Coach Fogel. We have Coach Angelini, who's a running back coach. He helps out with the defense. He has our defensive ends. Coach Jamie Evans has been with us. Jamie's been in Edison his whole life. He played for Edison. He's coached different levels, varsity, JV, freshman. Been head junior high coach for a while. He has the young offensive lineman. And Colin Skeels, he's a junior high coach that comes up and helps us out when he can. Nate Moses is our head junior high coach. George Ash and Nate Kleiner, his assistants. We have a great staff of individuals. Coaching staff is like a family. You don't always get along, and you get on each other's nerves sometimes. But when you have a common goal of getting improvement out of every kid every day, and obviously since this is the high school varsity level, winning is important. It's not the only thing, but it's something that whether everybody can say what they want to, but you have to win. And there's a way to go about it. And I think our coaches do an outstanding job of getting the best out of the kids.
Coach, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We know that you're a very busy person right now.
Yeah, I was just cutting the grass. I was embarrassed because you sent me the email, and thank God I read it because my grass was so high. I haven't cut it in over a week. I had to cut it twice. So I got here in time. It was a good timing, I guess.
We appreciate the time. Thank you so much. You're always welcome on Running Point. Anytime you want to pop in, let us know. And we look forward to covering you all season at Edison.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mike Colapi, the head coach of the Edison football team, joining us on Running Point, brought to you once again by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. And he is a mainstay at Running Point, not just because he coaches two sports, but also because he's just a great interview. I love talking to Mike Colapi.
Yeah, he does a great job too, and he's a great coach that does it the right way. And I mean, he does a great job over there in Edison, and that's why he's been a mainstay in that program for as long as he has. And excited for this Edison team, man. I think they're a real wild card in this league. Because when I say too, they were, I think, third in the Buckeye North Conference last year too, and first was Beaver Local, and they pushed Beaver Local 27-21. Beaver Local barely got by Edison last year, and I remember that game, man. I remember. It was kind of a wake-up call for everyone in that conference, and they realized, okay, this Edison team, they're for real now, and they're not to be taken lightly anymore in this conference, returning just about every key position, too. And that offensive line, I think this is a Wildcats team that's going to be very exciting this year, and tonight they're going to be tested.
You can't ignore that they're trending in a good direction. Like we said a couple of days ago, 3 seasons ago in that 2019 season, right before COVID, 0 wins, 0-10. The crazy COVID year, 3-5. Everyone was trying to juggle. Last year improved even more. So they are definitely on the upswing as a program. So you got to watch out for teams like that.
Yeah, I think so as well, man. I mean, they're one of those programs that you're bringing everyone back, and they've just consistently gotten better every year.
So here's what's going to be in this show today. It's going to be a busy show. We have more interviews. We're bringing on some volleyball players that are going to be mainstays in the conversation for the volleyball season. It starts on Saturday. We have Tara Lytle from Lakeview coming on at 12:30. And then in the last kind of waning moments of the show, we have Lauren Palone coming on at 1:30 from Girard Volleyball. And then right after her, Allison Durkin from Girard Volleyball will be on as well. So we're going to have two interviews to end the show. We have 12:30 Tara Lytle, who is one of the senior leaders of that Lakeview team that is going to be fighting with Girard. So we're going to have both sides of that rivalry on today's show. It's going to be fun, but also, Ty, we're going to kind of break down today's matchups and kind of talk about what we think from their point of view. We are not going to make picks. Picks are going to be in the Power Hour. Everyone in Ysn is putting in their picks, submitting their picks. So make sure to watch Power Hour. I mean, not Power Hour, Prime Time. No Power Hour on Thursdays because of Prime Time. Make sure to watch Ysn's Prime Time live from South Range at 5 o'clock to see who me and Ty and every personality around the Ysn family think is going to win the games tonight. But we're still going to talk about these matchups and see, what we think is going to be important about them, how we think, one team can attack the other, et cetera, and give you our perspective of these matchups. So we'll still talk about them, but our picks will be held until 5 o'clock on Ysn Primetime.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. It should be exciting too on a new way of doing things a little bit here for YSN.
Yeah, going forward, no power hours on Thursday because DJ's going to be getting ready at the designated live place for prime time that particular week. This week at South Range is going to be somewhere different every Thursday. So and our picks are going to be submitted, and I think on a normal football week they'll be put in on the Power Hour on Friday nights. But since we have Thursday and Friday night games, I think your picks for tonight will be presented on prime time at 5 o'clock from South Range. So without further ado, Ty, we do have another interview. We have Tara Lytle, one of the senior leaders of this Lakeview volleyball team that we know is going to be so good. And Tara, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I mean, Tara, let's talk about going into this season and the excitement you have from this season. Let's talk about how last season ended, where you think you were last season too as a player, and what are some goals you had coming into this year?
Last season, I will say it was not the ending that we all hoped for. Losing to Girard definitely gave us we were all kind of just upset about it. I feel like we went into our tournament games not as hopeful anymore because we were we didn't win the conference. I feel like that just kind of put a hole in our whole team. And then this year, I think we're a lot more prepared. I feel like we're having a good amount of fun and we have a lot of energy from now on. And I think that we're ready to go for this year.
What did your off season look like? I know you had a busy off season getting ready. What kind of things did you kind of look at yourself and say, I want to grow in before this high school season starts in your off season?
In our off season, I played club, so I was always busy playing volleyball at some point. My club team went to Florida, so I got the opportunity to play with a bunch of big volleyball players. And in our off season for Lakeview, we did a bunch of summer days. We did workouts and stuff like that to help prepare us for games. And so that when the season comes, when August 1st came, we could just focus on our volleyball skills and just to get ready for everything in the season.
I mean, a 530 hit percentage is something serious too. Not too many hit percentages get up into the 500. So how proud are you of having something like that too? And how much work goes into you being able to not only hit the volleyball consistently with high velocity, but being able to place it so well within the court?
It's taken a lot of years, especially coming into my freshman year. I was very timid to be on a varsity volleyball court, but I also think it helped me a lot because I was able to get a big experience from the start so that all of the upperclassmen, they brought me through it. They taught me through it. And all of my coaches, they just always believed in me, and just to keep playing throughout the off season, being able to hit the ball. I definitely was very proud of myself when I saw that my hitting percentage was that well. And I just think it comes with confidence in myself and just keep hitting the ball. Even if I make a mistake, just pick myself right back up and get on the floor again.
This is a Lakeview team that for the first time since the 88 became a thing, they're going into the season as chasers and not defending champions. Have you sensed any kind of mindset change this offseason in the Lakeview program? Maybe they're hungrier, maybe they're a little bit even more dedicated because they are chasing the championship instead of trying to defend it?
Yeah, we're definitely more, I think we prepared more for this season because of that. We weren't our NE8 champs anymore. So I feel like that's our mindset for this year, to win the conference and go far in finals and stuff like that. I think this year could be a very big year for us. And I feel like, especially being my senior season, I feel like all of the seniors, we all want to have a really good season, to go out on a big note and not just be upset about how the season went. So I think we're all a little bit more prepared and excited for the season this year.
What did you do, or what do you feel like you can do as a teammate to help the team achieve those goals? I mean, you're already a great player, but I know great players are always hungry to get greater and get even more great. So what are some things you wanted to work on and improve on yourself to help the team with?
I've wanted to improve, like, not just like my hitting, like in general. Like, I go back to serve and I'm not a defensive player. So when I'm on the court, I just want to bring the energy up. I want to make sure that everyone is having fun. No one's down on themselves. I try to pick up everyone, even if they make a mistake, especially the younger kids that come in and play for us, like take spots for us, like the sophomores. I try to just make sure that everyone feels welcome, because I know when I was a freshman and sophomore, like, I was a little timid on the court. So I just wanted to make sure everyone is welcome on the court and everyone's having a good time.
This is a senior class that has been playing together for a long time in Lakeview. And how strong is the dynamic with you guys, and how much do you treasure being able to play with your fellow seniors?
We definitely have. We had a lot more seniors when we came into the volleyball, but the people that have stuck with it, I think that we all connect very well. No matter what, we know how each other play. If someone is down, we know how to pick them back up because we've been playing with them for so long. And especially, like, our setter, like, she knows how us seniors like to hit the ball. She knows, like, what we like in a set. I think it all just works a lot better because we've been playing together for so long. And I feel like all of us seniors were just excited for our senior season, so we're trying to make the best of it.
And looking at it too, I mean, I know you guys are hungry for Girard, but I mean, this is still a very tough conference overall. Talk about the schedule that you guys have, and I know it's going to be starting really soon. So call out the Lakeview community and let them know. I know you need that seventh man on the court at all times as well.
Yeah, our schedule definitely isn't easy, but I think if we keep our hearts and our minds to it, we definitely could beat every single person that we do play. But we can't go into the season having that mindset, because I feel like that's what we did last year. And then when we went and played Girard, we just kind of fell apart, and our whole, like, everything around us, they were just like, then they went into taking it over on us and, like, saying how they beat us. And so I feel like this year we're a lot more prepared to go into beating Girard and everyone else in our conference, because we're trying to set up for, like, our tournament play so that we can go far in the tournament.
Fair warning to anyone that has to go to Lakeview to play that gym. It gets hot very quickly. You guys get to condition it in the summer. What kind of advantage is it for you guys to work so hard in that hot gym and be able to just kind of push yourselves and be able to be very very resilient, I guess. You're not tired in the fifth set because you're practicing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard. It takes a lot to get used to, especially new people that, like, come into our gym and are just like, yeah, it's terrible, especially in the summer, like with the humidity. We practice in the morning, so it's not even that hot yet, and we all leave the gym dripping in sweat. So I feel like it gives us a little bit of an advantage, because when we are home, we're used to it, so we're not as dead, I feel like, in the fifth set. So we're, like, kind of, I would say we definitely have a home court advantage, especially because a lot of the other schools do have air. But yeah, it's definitely a fight to get through it.
How nice is it to step into an air-conditioned gym when you go on the road?
It's very nice. It's very different, and I feel like we definitely are not as tired like when we leave the gym because we have air conditioner and we're not dripping sweat all down us.
Does it ever get like super cold in other teams' gyms? Like they're sitting there like I should have brought a hoodie.
Definitely, like when I'm sitting in the JV, watching the JV game. Definitely, it's definitely a shock to us when we're just sitting there, but it's just really nice.
And I want to get to know you a little bit off the court for all the Lakeview volleyball fans that want to get to know Tara before she graduates and leaves the program. Let's hit you with some rapid fire questions. I'm going to start off with what is your favorite season of the year? Winter, spring, fall, or summer?
I would say that I like fall the most because I think it's just pretty outside and it's like the perfect temperature. And I like wearing like hoodies and stuff, but I don't like to be like freezing.
If you could excel in any sport outside of volleyball, what sport would you want to throw your hat into?
I think since I'm tall that I could get into basketball, but I don't know if I would want to, but I feel like I definitely could if I wanted to.
Did you ever ponder basketball while you were growing up or while you were going through high school? Did the coach ever reach out to you and be like, Tara, we need you?
Yeah, the basketball coach was one of my teachers, so he definitely tried to get me to play, and he still tried to get me to play for this year, but I won't do it.
When you graduate, what are going to be some of your favorite memories inside the Lakeview school system, whether it's volleyball or outside of volleyball inside the school?
I think definitely my relationship with all of like my teachers that I've had. I feel like everyone in the classroom and out of the classroom, like everyone says hi. They're all welcoming, especially like in the classroom when maybe we finished our work. Like I could have a conversation with them, and I'm definitely gonna miss volleyball and everything that came with that. The friends, the people that are younger than me. I'm definitely gonna miss everyone like that too.
We know because the club volleyball is a real tight-knit community. Who is your best friend in volleyball that doesn't wear a Lakeview uniform?
Even though we're rivals, I would definitely say Lauren Plone.
Okay. How good does it feel to go up like this to be able to compete against her? You've been competing against her since you guys were freshmen. I mean, you go up, you've both had wins against each other. What's it feel like to really, test yourself against Lauren?
I really enjoy it. Freshman year, I definitely think it was kind of like scary because I was like, oh, I played club with her. Like, I don't know how to react. Like, I don't know. Do I say hi to her? Do I not? But now I feel like it's just like, yeah, we talked before the game. We always talk to each other. And then when we're in the game, no matter if she's on us, we'll definitely like look at each other and be like, good job. I just feel like it's very fun to play against each other and fun to beat them, even though we didn't last year. But it's still like just a fun environment to play them.
Do you ever give your team some inside information like, hey, I know this about Lauren because I play with her? Is that kind of one of the things that happens?
Oh, yeah, of course.
When you were little, what was your dream job?
I would say when I was little, both my sisters played volleyball. Did you say dream job? Both, what?
I'm sorry, you were cutting out, so I didn't know if you were done or not.
No, I didn't hear you.
Okay. What were some childhood fears that you had? What were some fears that you had when you were growing up?
I'm like scared of a lot of things even now. I'm pretty scared of like the dark, especially like outside still. But when I was a little kid, I was definitely afraid. Like I would always look around everything. I hate bugs.
What if you could have any animal as a pet, what would you want?
That's a hard one. The koalas are really cute, but they're also really mean. So I don't think I could ever have one of those. So I honestly don't know if I would ever have like an exotic animal in my house because I feel like I'd be afraid of them. So I think I would have a dog or a cat.
So if we found a super nice koala, though, that would be gold star, right?
Yeah, I think they're really cute and like, yeah, I could definitely see myself having one.
What is one thing that you spend a lot of money on that you know you probably shouldn't?
Food.
What's the food place that you spend the most money at?
Chipotle. I am very obsessed with Chipotle at the moment. Chipotle and Starbucks definitely break my bank account.
What's the go-to order at Chipotle?
I get a burrito with white rice, chicken, sour cream, lettuce, and cheese.
Please tell me Chipotle is not a pregame meal.
Has it been? Yeah. Should it be? No.
What's your favorite, like, if the favorite pregame meal to have though, like the one that your go-to?
If I'm going like to somewhere, I would definitely say like Subway, because I feel like Subway is like, it's easy, but it's filling, and it's not like I couldn't get on the court and I couldn't jump. I feel like it's a good meal.
Who's the best cook in your house, and what's their best dish?
Oh boy. So my sister likes to cook, my middle sister. I would definitely say both of my sisters are pretty good cooks, but I would say she's cooked for me more. So I'd say my middle sister, and she cooks like hibachi, and that was pretty good. I would say that's definitely the best.
Are you a good cook?
No.
You cook cereal. That's it.
I do cook butter noodles. I'm really good at that.
That's a dime right there. If you were given a time machine, would you want to go into the past or the future?
I would definitely say the future.
How far would you want to go, and what kind of things would you want to see in the future?
I definitely, since I was a little kid, have dreamed of like having like a family. So I definitely say like fast forward to when I have like a family, a good job, but like not too far to where like people are gone out of my life. So I would definitely say in the future a little bit to where I have like a family and kids and a good job.
We talked about your dream job when you were little. What about like now that you're developed and you kind of understand what you kind of want to do? So now, when you go in the future, what job do you think that you would see yourself in?
I have always dreamed about being like a volleyball coach on the side. I would love to do that. But I definitely think my dream job would be going into the medical field. I'm looking into going into like x-ray tech and things like that, and like building my way up from that. So I definitely would say that's probably my dream right now.
Last question before we let you go. I want to know what is your favorite away gym to play in?
My favorite away gym. I'd say I like Hubbard. Hubbard is very big and like air conditioned, and I feel like there's always a decent amount of people there. I would definitely say Hubbard.
It's the only gym where you got the student section right behind you when you're serving. Is that a cool atmosphere?
No, I don't really like it.
Tara, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. It's senior year. We've talked to you a couple of years now, and we love covering you. We'll continue to cover you throughout your senior season. We look forward to it. Good luck all year, and once again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tara Lytle, I shouldn't say rising stars, it's a straight up star of Lakeview volleyball senior year. She's been doing it since she was a freshman on that varsity team. It's kind of her swan song, right? Swan song for Tara Lytle.
64% kill percentage and pair it with a 530 hit percentage and not call her a superstar.
530, like we've dove into this, Ty, before, what it takes to have that kind of hitting percentage, and what an average hitting percentage is for a play individual is like your high 200s. So if you're in the 300s, you're good. If you're in the high 300s, you're way above average. 530 is mind-boggling. I mean, and it's not like she's someone that doesn't get set a lot. Like, they set her a lot in that offense. She is a great swinger.
Only 61 errors over 559 attacks too. So, I mean, that's similar numbers to what we just saw. What was the one girl for Camel too that had, I think, 500 assists and only, I think, 14 errors in that too. Like, this is anytime you have over 500 attacks more than you do errors or right around that, like, you're doing something right.
it is so hard to stay away from errors in volleyball because you're trying to avoid the block and you gotta find a hole in the defense. So that's why the average hitting percentage is like your 200s. For a team, it's like 250. That'd be a good hitting percentage for a team. For an individual, you go a little bit higher, but that's 530 is insane for Tara Lytle. And I think the one thing that she'll try to improve on this year is being able to go off the hands a little bit better. I think a lot of stuff either got blocked last year or was tipped off the hands in a poor direction. So, but trying to use the blockers to her advantage, if you're nitpicking on things that you watch her tape. So, those don't go down as errors, but blocks are still swings that don't get kills. So
here's what I wanted to talk about too, and why. I mean, it was so interesting to talk about how much work she put into this because Lakeview was always a good team. As a freshman, Tara Lytle had 153 kills on a 193 hitting percentage. In her sophomore season, 207 kills on a 182 percentage. Junior year, 357 on a 530. Like, the improvement from sophomore to junior year. Before that, her highest, she had a 193 and a 182. So they were hovering just under 200. She went to 530 from sophomore to junior season. Her career hitting percentage, she's bumped it up to 314 now overall because of her junior season. It's incredible to see exactly what she's done. 717 kills in her career, and she's gunning for that 1,000 kill club.
It would take a pretty good year for 1,000. That's still what 200 and what is that, 23, right? 223 away.
She would need 283 to get
I was doing I was on the opposite side.
But she had 357 a year ago, so if she has relatively right in her average too, her career average would be, 717 divided by 3 is going to be the average for her per season. And I'll do that quick math real quick.
Well, I can't do it in my head.
She's averaging 239 kills a season too, which is
a little bit above average.
A little bit above her average, which, like you said, your swan song, your senior season, you expect her to go all out too. So if she's able to get all 20 games in, or 22 that I think Lakeview has, it's hard not to see her not get that number.
It's not a knock because there are a lot of players to go to in Lakeview's offense. So, even if she doesn't get 1,000, it's because there are so many players that Maggie Pavlansky as a senior setter is going to be able to set and trust to go swing. So that's going to be real fun to watch. They open the season on Saturday at Cardinal Mooney. I will be there, and it will be on ysnlive.com. So don't miss that. We're going to take our first break of the day. When we come back, it's all football. We're going to talk about the matchups today and some of the things that pop out to us. Once again, not our picks. Our picks will be released during YSN prime time. So as well as every other, all the other picks of the YSN personalities, including the ones that show up on YSN prime time. So make sure to tune into that to see who everyone is going to pick for tonight's and tomorrow's games. But for today on our show, we're just going to be giving you our perspective on these matchups and what we think is going to be some of the key things to look forward to and some of the things that we see out of these matchups as well. So we'll be right back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our Valley's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the Valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com or find us on Facebook.
Jimmy Sudman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring PGA professionals, golf instruction, a players rewards club, kids programs, and a pro shop and grill room for a memorable golf experience. Call or click to schedule your tee time at Mill Creek Golf Course.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we offer a worry-free experience for all our customers. From sales to financing and even service, we'll help build your perfect vehicle
and lock in your trade value
while your vehicle is being built.
No worries.
We guarantee financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history.
No worries. And when your vehicle needs service,
our award-winning team will get you back on the road.
No worries.
That's what going the extra mile means. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Now is the time to think about your future, where you want to go, what you want to be. Your future can start now at Kent State Salem or Kent State East Liverpool. We have programs that will open doors and provide opportunities for you to pursue your passion. We are affordable, we are close. You call it hometown, we call it Kent State University. Learn more at www.kent.edu/Columbiana. You belong here.
Welcome back to Ysn's Running Point on geez, that didn't come out right. Ysn's Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig continuously proving that he is not a professional, and brought to joined by Ty Bartell. I am just focus here. Okay, we are going to go over the matchups for today in football. It is officially D-Day. It is the start of high school football season tonight. There are 9 games on the network tonight, and it will be an audible call first one of the new year. Audible call tonight with Mike Ackelson. It is the third year of audible call, and it'll kick off tonight and then be in full swing tomorrow. Ty, first matchup on the docket tonight, and this is this in alphabetical order based on the away team. Brookfield at Ursuline. This one I think is very interesting. I think a lot of people will look at this and if they don't really dive into it, they'll just be like, Ursuline, take it. But I think it's a very interesting game. You'll look at this matchup. It's a Brookfield team that is one of the best in their division, definitely one of the contenders in their conference. Everyone from Brookfield camp is talking about how good this team is going to be this year. Pawlowski comes back. Their offensive line is always good. Randy Clark is a great coach. And this is an Ursuline team that, yes, they went to the state championship last year, but there's going to be a lot of new faces in some key positions for Ursuline. When you look at it, a lot of skill position players are new for the Irish.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what Ursuline and Coach Reardon is going to be able to do to kind of get all these troops rallied.
See, Anthony's not a professional. 10 games, not 9. My bad, 10.
Perfect 10. Austin Aries. No, you look at Brookfield and Ursuline. This is going to be a great matchup too. And I mean, you look at what Brookfield has been, all the confidence that we've been hearing from Brookfield's camp, like you were talking about, and I think this is going to be one of those games where you really get to see what they're made of beginning of the season, because we now know. I mean, Division 3 is where you're looking at for Ursuline to be standing right now. This is a huge matchup points wise for Brookfield. If they get a win here, this can really set them apart going forward as far as other teams that might be contending with them same records wise. These are the big wins that you look for if you're looking at Brookfield.
When
Ursuline, but it's close.
It's going to be a good game. That's what we're trying to kind of say. But when you look at it in a playoff picture that allows 16 teams into the playoffs, you'll win against a Division 3 team. You got to think you need maybe 2 or 3 more wins just to guarantee a playoff spot. Now I know that's kind of silly because no one wants to aim for a playoff, a 3-7 record and get into playoffs, but that's the reality. I mean, there aren't too many Division 6 teams that are going to have, a win on a Division 3 team under their belt. So if you got this win, it really, really helps you out when you're talking about are they going to make the playoffs or not. If it came down to that conversation, I don't think Brookfield will have any worries about making the playoffs this year. But if it ever came down to that, or even a seeding, a win against a Division 3 team would be a great thing in your utility belt.
And I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. Pawlowski is one of those guys that can do it all. I mean, he is a do-all type quarterback, and that's what's really going to make him interesting in this matchup, because he can really push defensive lines to their limits too. You got to be athletic enough to stay with him too, but he can also stay in the pocket and fire darts throughout the field. So he's one of those quarterbacks that could beat you with his arm. He could beat you with his legs. You got to be attention to detail oriented on defense when you're going up against a guy like that.
Don't forget, this is a Brookfield team that returns a lot from last year. And last year, they're a team that almost beat Springfield. They were very close to beating the Springfield team. Springfield had to pull out a win late in that game in week 2 against Brookfield. So it's a team that definitely has played in big games against big opponents that they were a big underdog against. So they're not going to be a stranger to being the underdog. I think the interesting thing about it is, can Brookfield create a tempo and leave it? Because I think Ursuline will probably love this to turn into a shootout. And obviously Brookfield would love to slow the game down and kind of make it more of a physical ground and pound kind of game. That's what Brookfield's always been, an offensive line that'll push you around, run the ball a lot. So, and Ursuline's going to try to spread them out and, score a lot of points. That's what Ursuline's been about for the last several years. So it's going to be fun to see what team kind of takes a hold of the tempo and controls the tempo of this game.
They are projected to bring back 6 of their top 7 leading tacklers from a year ago. Brookfield is on defense. So that gives you anywhere in the indication of how well we're looking at their experience. These are guys that have been there, done that, played on it. Friday night happens in the Thursday night happens here too, as well. That are ready for these kind of environments. Ready to try to answer the call against the Giants. That is Ursuline. But like I said, I think it starts in always about that offensive line, how good Brookfield usually is, and we've heard from Coach Clark, and just overall for that program. I think this offensive line is projected one of the best in the area. So that's going to help us a lot. A guy that was 25 touchdowns responsible with his legs and his arms a season ago.
Ty's been possessed. There's something up with your mic, bud. You're something
Might be connection issues. Usually that happens a lot too. It seems like
you're getting a lot of reverb. You're sounding like you need an exorcism over there.
We all good now.
No, you still sound like Megatron. We'll continue to try to help Ty fix his mic issue. But like I said, with this Ursuline versus Brookfield football game, I think the most important key to it is going to be the tempo. Can tempo for Brookfield supersede the tempo for Ursuline? And that's going to be the talk. I think a lot of teams against Ursuline, we're going to welcome in DJ here for a minute, but I think a lot of teams against Ursuline this year are going to try to slow them down.
I missed your last statement. I was popping on because it looked like Ty got eaten by Darth Vader.
We'll see if Ty, did you fix your issue?
Let's see. I mean, we good now?
We're clear.
All right, just did it up for a refresh. All right, we're all good. I guess StreamYard. It might have been a StreamYard issue, honestly, too, because all I did was refresh and we're all good. I didn't change any mic settings or anything. So,
well, DJ, we appreciate. Do you have anything that you want to kind of break about tonight before you get out of here?
No, prime time tonight. 5 o'clock. We're going to try to touch all the bases from everybody around the area, and then we just released the preseason power rankings, which
I saw that.
For better, for worse, one of those things that you just never know. It's so hard to do preseason power rankings. So I try to put it out in the chat and be like, hey guys, thoughts on this? Yeah, West Branch is a name that's going to come up a lot on that preseason. Feel disrespected, but they've got a great opportunity in front of them. If they end up winning against Canfield, I don't think anybody will not put them on next week's, considering Canfield is the, I guess, all-inclusive number one across the board. So, which for good reason. I mean, when you got a guy like Brock Lowry and almost the entire team back, it's going to be a fun year, boys. I'm excited. I couldn't sleep a whole lot last night. I'm geared up. I'm ready to go. And there's so much to do before 5 o'clock comes around. So wanted to make sure you guys were covered. Let me know if you need me.
All right, TK, thank you.
See you guys.
As I was saying, Ty, one of the last things I want to say about this matchup before we get out of here and move on to the next one. I think a lot of people are going to try to slow down Ursuline this year and try to control the tempo. I think that's going to be one of the game plans that they're going to have to battle against all year, because everyone looks at their offense and says, a lot of athletes, they want to spread you out, they want to score fast, they want to get into a shootout. It's what they've been the last several years. Don't see that changing. So you got to try to control the ball and keep their offense off the field as much as possible. Brookfield is built for that.
They absolutely are. But, I mean, you look on that other side, the Irish certainly have some guys on defense that can wreck your day. Tyreek Donlow's the big one, I think, coming back. If I'm not mistaken, this man has racked up 12 sacks last season too, I believe. And that's going to be huge going into this season. Someone that can absolutely wreck drives too and put you back even on first down too, put you back second and long, or even on those critical third down, get those sacks as well. He's one of those difference makers on defense, and Ursuline typically has a few guys like that, but he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be leading on the defensive end. And offensively, I mean, how can't you be excited about DC Farrell? I mean, you look at the season that DC Farrell had a year ago, you expect him to be coming in as a sophomore quarterback for Ursuline. This is going to be a fun matchup too. Two quarterbacks that can do it all, both with their arm and their leg. This is another matchup like that we get between QBs.
Well, the thing is, like, we don't even know if DC Farrell's going to be used as a quarterback in Ursuline, because they have Erickson that was set up to, be that's going to be a question mark. Who's going to come out as a quarterback for Ursuline?
We've seen multiple schools utilize multiple quarterbacks depending on the down, depending on the set that they do. I feel like DC is going to be utilized at that position in some forms.
I've never been a huge fan of multiple quarterbacks, and what, like, if you have two, you don't have one. That's my kind of, like, you got to be able to pick one. So I don't know what Ursuline's going to do. I'm not a huge fan of always switching quarterbacks in and out based on, situational football. Like, if you have two, you don't have one, right? So
another big thing too, though, you look at Ursuline, they should be returning a decent amount of their O-line from a year ago as well. So these battles in the trenches, I think, are going to dictate a ton for this matchup opening up.
Brookfield better score on those long drives that they like to do. You can't end those with no points. That'll become a double-edged sword if you do. Let's move on to Cheney versus Poland. I think a lot of people on this game, high on Cheney, of course, for good reason. And Poland is trying to replace a lot of players, so this might be one of those trap games for people making picks.
It definitely could be, and I honestly think this is going to be one of the best matchups too. Two hard-hitting teams that can absolutely put you on the ground and let you feel their presence both on offense and on defense. I think the biggest thing for Cheney, I mean, really, you lose basically Clive Wilson, right? That's going to be your big loss up front.
To Boston College.
Yeah. But you get Jason Hewlett back, who was basically lost for the entire season a year ago for this Cowboys team on the football field. So getting him back is huge. And I think with a guy like Seth Antrim at the helm, it's going to really provide a lot of opportunities for Chaney to get some scoring opportunities this year. I mean, take what Chris Emil has implanted there at Chaney and just build off of that too. A great culture that has been built back up there for the Cowboys, and they're testing themselves right out of the gate with a very good Poland team that has traditionally always been a winning team.
And it's a Poland team that has a lot of unknowns, right? They're replacing, I think, 13 starters on both sides from last year out of 22. If I'm not mistaken, somewhere around that, there's a lot of starters that they're replacing. So there's a lot of unknowns. How's this kid going to go in this position? How's this going to fare? How is this going to go? But they're always kind of the culture of Poland is always strong, and the winning tradition of Poland is always there. And then you look at Chaney. I think, the one thing that I would have to say about them, can they make the game-winning type plays in close game situations with good teams? That's going to be something they have to kind of prove themselves with, because whether it's injury or not, last year they struggled with making those game-winning type plays in big situations and being disciplined. So can they kind of hold their water in high-pressure situations, which I think this game will be close. I think they'll have to make high-pressure plays. Can Chaney do it? And that's going to be the question that will be answered emphatically tonight. Can they or can't they answer those questions?
Reiterating, too, make sure you tune into primetime to get all of our picks, too, for the games happening tonight. Not picking right now, but, I mean, I'm all cool with the fans taking picks, too. I love the interaction, too. Pick along with these games, too. I agree, though, with what Nick Colbert's first point, too. This is going to be an unbelievably physical game. And, I mean, that's exactly what you expect from these two teams. They bring a lot of size. They bring a lot of grit and tenacity onto the field. So I'm really looking at those battles of the trenches, but I'm just looking all over. I mean, whoever out hustles and out grinds the other one tonight is going to be the winner. But that's just, it's like the irresistible force meeting the immovable object, right? And it's going to be hard hitting fun tonight.
This is what happens when an unmovable force meets. So, yeah, Chaney Poland, I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to come down to, who makes the big plays and who can really do that.
I think so as well. And, I mean, you talk about what Chaney's going to be bringing back, and, yeah, they bring back a ton of athletes too. But the one thing about Chaney you can give them a knock on over the years is those close games. They've had trouble finishing out those close games in the end. If it gets into that situation, I'm interested to see what this 2022 edition of the Cowboys is able to do. Are they going to be able to finish out those close games too and put a cherry on top, if you will?
They got to stay even in high pressure situations. That's going to be important for the Cowboys. Next game on the slate, once again, this is just in alphabetical order based on the away team. So no particular order based on, who we think is a great matchup or anything like that. It is going to be Cleveland Lincoln West coming to Sebring. This is a Sebring. I'm glad that Sebring's on the docket because I know during the off season and during the early months of summer and some of the late months of spring, we didn't know if Sebring would be able to put together a football program. The numbers were just kind of struggling, and they obviously found enough players interested to kind of put together a team and put a team on the field. So that's what I'm most happy about, just seeing them on the schedule and knowing that they are going to have a football program. I think this is a very winnable game to start off the season for Sebring.
Honestly, you look at it too. You bring in a guy like Coach Agresta, who has been there with Steubenville Central Catholic, who is another one of those programs that has to compete with the big school that we know in Steubenville there, right? You still have to be able to get interest from football players there. And Steubenville Central Catholic's typically very competitive team throughout the years too. They're able to put together solid teams there, despite having the giant that is Steubenville football program.
This big brother right next to them, like, hey guys,
but
you bring some scraps.
You bring a coach like that knows how to get those kind of small division school mentalities right and still be able to draw those kids in and be able to get performances out of kids. I think this is going to be a great matchup too. And I'm just excited to see what Sebring's kind of attitude, their identity, what their outlook is now, because new coach means that some new things could be in store for the Trojans this year. And I'm excited for the fresh start. And I love the love for Sebring in this one, right?
I have a good story.
Loves the good story, right, Ant? Lincoln West should be a great game to test the Trojans, though, and I'm excited for it.
Last season, Sebring was the first game to kick off in the state of Ohio. Won't be that way this year. They're a 7 o'clock start time like everyone else. But remember last year, they kicked off a little bit earlier than everybody, and that's why it was fun to say. 2 years ago, excuse me, it was fun to say when Springfield was in that state championship game. The MVAC started at the end of the season because that was the last game. They were the last game on the docket for Springfield State Championship. So 2 years ago, it was that really cool moment to say, hey, the MVAC kicked off the football season and they also ended the football season.
Yeah, it was a really cool moment last year.
So Sebring gets a Thursday game again. They are home, and we have a lot of admiration for Sebring, and we hope that they can put together a good story this season. And it starts tonight. It'll be Aaron Mosier on the call for that one at Sebring.
Could you really get a better voice for that though? Too, Amo is a great voice too to represent the
high caliber voice for a high caliber game. That's what we do. Next game, Crestview at Salem, and talk about a matchup between another like we talked about Brookfield Ursuline, two kind of varying tempos. Crestview gonna want to slow the game down, and Salem's gonna want to spread the game out. So I think it's kind of the same story. Who can control the tempo of this game?
And it's a program that Crestview has put together that has made the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken, like 15 times in like the last 20 years.
Well, Paul Cusick's been there for 24, and it's been an established program ever since he stepped foot in.
He knows how to get teams to the tournament or to the playoffs. Let's just say that too. Coach Cusick knows how to get the most out of his players, and this is. I think you got to look at Rockland Batura, right? That's going to be the guy you look at for Crestview's side, right? This dude is the real deal. I think put up 14 tutties a year ago on over 1,000 yards rushing. He's one of those guys that he's a difference maker offensively, and once he gets loose, man, he's hard to slow down.
I know that they have to replace a quarterback, but with this particular offense, it runs through the running game. And you got Rockland Batura back there, so that's gonna mean a lot of if things go well, a lot of low stress situations for the new quarterback in there.
33 catches, 33 receptions, 6 touchdowns as well. So 20 touchdowns total for Rockland a year ago. 14 on the ground, 16 through the air catching wise. So he's the guy that can do it all as well, and he's one of those backs that. He causes nightmares for defense because you almost always have to have a spy on him, or you have to account for him all the time. Because even if he doesn't get the ball, he's still in danger for breaking off of a block too, or faking a block and then going out for a pass too. He's one of those guys that can really hurt you in multiple ways.
For most teams, it's a bad matchup to put a linebacker on him out of the backfield if he runs around out of the backfield. That's not a good matchup, but it's because you have to put a linebacker on him most of the time with the way Crestview schemes up their offense. So he's going to be a player to watch for Crestview. I think their defense is going to shine this season. Salem, it's Jackson Johnson, right? I mean, that's it's his story. It's his year. It's his senior season. You look at the stats he put up last year. They're already eye-popping, and now it's like, how can you one-up yourself this year?
This kid is incredible, too. I mean, Jackson Johnson, you look at what he was able to do last year. I mean, the dude is – you want to talk about someone that can do it all and do it with his legs, do it with his arms. That's exactly what you see from Jackson Johnson, and he's one of those guys, too, that is consistently – he's gotten better. 71.5% completion percentage from a year ago. Like – we're touching like that's what NFL looks for, right? Like you want to
get that. If an NFL quarterback had a 70, like even the bet, like did Aaron Rodgers have 70%?
Like high 60s, 70s. Like if you can get that, you're great at your job because you're basically your accuracy to 243 out of 340 in attempts too. That's the breakdown for him. 2,905 yards. 33 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. That percentage or that breakdown is incredible.
I love that touchdown to INT ratio.
That's incredible. And he's also the guy, too, that is responsible for 1,300 rushing yards and 20 touchdowns on the ground. 53 touchdowns for Jackson Johnson combined last year, rushing and passing. He's one of those guys, and he's touching the ball most of the time, but he's the guy that can beat you multiple ways once that ball's in his hands.
He does lose one of his favorite targets in Blaze X-Line to Ohio State, but we've talked about this before, Ty. Sometimes when a quarterback loses their best weapon, they come back the next year and they're a little bit more keen to spread the ball around, and they actually have a better statistical season. So we might see Jackson Johnson get a little bit better at spreading the ball around and not, walking into one player.
The way you look at it too, X-Line, 125 catches, 1,400 plus yards, 18 touchdowns a season ago. You got to spread that out amongst receivers now. You got to be able to generate that other ways as well. Someone's got to step up to be that.
How many completions did Jackson Johnson have?
Jackson Johnson had 243 completions and 125. Over half of
them were to Blaze X-Line. So that's your point right there. He's going to have to spread the ball around a little.
1,400 yards. That's almost half of the yards too of his 2,900, and then 18 touchdowns. That is over half of his 33. So like Blaze X-Line was the guy that when things kind of broke down, he got you out of spots. That's where the other receivers now for Salem. Someone's got to step up for that.
How many of those touchdowns were just like a screen to X-Line? And
he
breaks the
just letting him just do work. Just do some work. No, X-Line's the real deal for sure.
That's going to be a big name that Salem's going to have to replace. But we talked to some Salem people this year, and they believe their receiving core might be a little bit deeper than it was last year. So it's going to be interesting to see Jackson Johnson start to really spread the ball around this year. Excuse me.
I'm excited for it. And I mean, this is going to be one of those teams, Salem is, that they're going to try to prove themselves in a conference that West Branch has been overshadowing them a lot in recent years, but they really pushed the Warriors last season to maybe one of the best football games that we have seen arguably in the last decade locally. And it's definitely up there with one of the best all time, I think, now amongst a lot of locals. It's a Salem team that wants to take that next step. They want to start being looked at as one of those programs as well. And you talk about people's swan songs. We talked about it with Terrell Idle. This is the same case for Jackson Johnson. He's put up phenomenal season after phenomenal season the last couple of years. He has one more opportunity to put it all together and show this community, show Salem what he's really got, what he really has, and put together another great season for the Quakers.
I think this matchup is going to come down to the same thing that Ursuline and Brookfield did, like who controls the tempo, who forces their will on the other team. If Crestview slows the game down, advantage Crestview. If Salem is able to speed up and score a lot of points, obviously advantage Salem. So
the big thing you got to circle too, I mean, you can't let Rockland Butera, you can't let Jackson Johnson solely beat us. Like, biggest thing with Jackson Johnson, I mean, if you got to kind of pick your battle, what are you going to hold him to? Because, like, if you're going to let him pass, you're going to take your chances with his arms. You got to make sure that he's not beating you with his legs. That's kind of the thing. And same thing with Rockland, though, too, because if he's not beating you with his legs, he could typically beat you as a receiver, too, out of that backfield. So you got to pick your battle and really just stay diligent on that battle, too, because they're going to beat you sometimes, but you got to try to win more than you lose in that sense.
The next matchup here on our docket is going to be Jackson Milton at Latonia. When you look at this one, Ty, Jackson Milton, they were a team that was on the last 3 years. 2 of the last 3 years, they were kind of improving. Last year took a little bit of a step back, but now they're bringing back a lot of experience. So maybe last year was that gap year where they lost a lot of seniors 2 years ago. Last year, trying to get experience again. I think the culture in the program is still kind of building, though.
It definitely is. But this is nice for Coach Nathan Brode that is now entering into his 6th season at the helm. I mean, this is a guy that's been able to really put together a culture now for this Jackson Milton community to kind of build off of that. When you enter into 6 years now, you've seen a couple of seniors graduate through. You've seen freshmen go to seniors now a couple of times in this group. And I think this is really where you start setting the foundation has already been set right for this culture. You could just start building up the house now. And like you said, Jackson Milton's come close with a couple of big wins and a couple of great seasons. They still are looking for that season, I think, to put it all together and contend with those big four in that in the Scarlet side of that MVAC and those big four you're talking about. I mean, you got to look at McDonald. You got to look at you got to look at Western Reserve. Those two Blue Devils are the first two that you're going to have to be able to compete with and get wins off of too to compete in here.
And then, of course, Lowville and Springfield.
And then, of course, Lowville and Springfield, of course. But I think it starts, obviously, with those Blue Devils, of course, is the ones you look at. And then Lowville, Springfield are the top two dogs, obviously, in that
If you remember, back in 19, Jackson Milton was maybe one win away from making the playoffs. It was back when it was an 18 playoff setting. And they firmly believed that the Western Reserve game was their game that they kept them out of the playoffs. They came back the next year, which was the COVID year, and one of their wins, I think they got revenge and got Western Reserve that year. So that's going to be one. I think that's going to be one of the games to circle. Obviously, Jackson Milton, Western Reserve. We know now how big that rivalry is in every sport. So that's going to be a game that you circle for the Blue Jays coming up. Latonia, DJ had a chance earlier this couple weeks ago to talk to their new head coach, and I think they're a team that once again, it was a gap year last year. They lost a lot of seniors, a lot of important pieces from 2 years ago last year, and they're trying to bring back experience and keep up the building culture that the program had 3 or 4 years ago when they were starting to build and starting to be on the upswing. A little bit of a gap year last year, but I think the overall energy of the program is still building. So these two teams are very similar on where they stand as a program, I think.
I think so as well. And I mean, Latonia is one of those teams where, I mean, we've seen them just 2 seasons ago put together a great season. And I mean, that's when Ferry was at the helm as well too. I mean, he was in that team and he was a huge contributor, but Latonia has been there before. And that's a football program that you just expect to have some success right along the way too. They know how to get wins. They know how to put things together. But last 5 years, you've been right, Ant. They've been trying to figure it out again and get that program back on its feet. And I think, honestly, where it's going to start at, looking at coming back this season, is just those guys that you said they're going to have returning. And you're finally, after that gap, you're going to be able to return a couple of guys going into this season. I think the biggest thing you're going to just look at, though, defensively, you look at some of the scores last year, too, that they were in. It's just making a couple of defensive plays that could have really turned things around for the Bears in a couple of these games. That Lisbon game, 19-12 too. I mean, if you make, I should say honestly, offensively in that case too, you need to make a couple plays offensively in that sense. But defensively, you look at the games like Valley Christian scoring 34, Wellsville scoring 35. I mean, those are the ones too. If Bears lock it up on defense too, they have a chance to maybe get into those games. And I think really what Latonia is looking at is just like you said, bringing in a new coach. You're trying to lay down the foundation. You're just trying to get kids to buy in at this point in the program too. But the good thing is you're bringing back experience, and just having kids that played varsity football a year ago is going to definitely make that transition a little bit easier.
And you know what me and Loki always say about experience.
Yeah,
I consider experience, and that's what Latonia will bring into this one. I think whoever wins this game has a big confidence boost for their program, and maybe be the difference in one of those winning seasons and maybe a not so winning season.
It's definitely a momentum booster as soon as you get out of the gate. If whoever, like you said, whoever gets a win for them, especially in the conference. I know this is a non-conference game, but for each of their conferences too, that's going to give them a boost of confidence going into the conference play.
So now we have Niles at Howland, and this is a game between two teams that now love to run the ball. Niles last year, I think the first couple of games of the season, they were trying to find their identity. They lost Zach Leonard. They were a passing team 2 years ago with him because he was an electric quarterback. Tried to reestablish kind of a running culture last year. It took them a couple of games to figure out what their offensive scheme was going to be. Once they did, they ran the ball extremely well, and they found an identity, and they started to really improve as the season went on. Howland, they're all run. Every game that they were in last year, it was like, we have to stop Howland's run game, and then they can't do anything. So two teams that love to run the football. This is going to be we talked about it with Cheney Poland. This is going to be a physical game. I would be shocked if it went high scoring. And two programs, like I said, that love to just ground the football.
I think you look at this too. I mean, the Niles Red Dragons were really derailed by COVID last year, right? Because they started off the season 3-1. And then they had that COVID week where they got things shut down, and they only won a game out of that too. They were 1-4 the rest of the way, and it ended up being 4-5 on the season. So I feel like, right when things were rolling, Niles came out of the gate. They were having momentum, and I feel like just having that week, that forced bye week that kind of just stopped and derailed momentum. Niles tried to get that back as a team, but like you said, they were young. They were learning how to win too. And like when you have that streak of winning, especially when you're a young team, coaches hate losing that or having that lost for any reason too, especially when it's out of their own hands. And that was the case too. And it was just hard, I think, generating that momentum back in the Niles community after the such a hot start that they were on.
Nick Gobert is picking Niles for this game. I know a lot of people probably will. I'm not so sure. I mean, I think this is going to be a really close game. But with two teams that really have like the same mentality and the same kind of spot in their program. I know Howland struggled last year to get wins, but you look at that game against West Branch, that's all the proof I need that they have the capability to really compete with really good teams. They push West Branch to the brink, and they do it with the run game. I think they got a little bit too one-dimensional last year, so I think this year the look for Howland is going to be, can we still have that running identity, because that's one of our strengths is going to be, but what do we do in even parts of the game when that's slowed down? Can we make adjustments?
Big player I'm looking at for Niles and too is Antoine Gardner. Here's some stats for him a year ago. 1,535 yards and 18 touchdowns. He averaged 6.7 yards a carry and 170 and a half yards per game too. So this is a guy that you're getting him back. He was a sophomore last year. You're getting him back as a junior. Talking about production as a sophomore. Him coming back, he's going to be a huge playmaker for the Red Dragons, and he's going to be one, like, you talk about guys you need to circle if you're Howland. That's going to be a guy you're going to need to circle if you're the Tigers in this one, because he's certainly a guy that can beat you. And then, I mean, you look at guys too. The biggest thing for Howland, they are typically a running team, but they graduated Woomer a year ago, who was huge. But they also had a junior quarterback in John Perry who was putting together a really good season. So getting him here after another good year of experience, I think that's going to be huge for them. Having an experienced quarterback behind center just to see what kind of development he has now. And he can surprise some people. We've seen plenty of quarterbacks from sophomore to junior and junior to senior year really have breakout years. And when you talk about it, when it's your swan song, you kind of put everything you have into it.
Excuse me. Last year, Womer was probably about 80% of that. Excuse me, 80% of that offense. So we'll see what they can do this year. Next one, we're not going to talk about it too much, only because it's going to be talked about a lot during prime time. They're live from South Range. It's Springfield and South Range. We've talked about it a lot. Don't want to get too far into it. Don't want to take away from the conversations that prime time is going to have there. I'm sure DJ and the boys are going to get Coach Yeagley on that show to talk about it, and probably Coach Guerrero a little bit too. You're going to be interviews from both teams. This is the rivalry, right? This is the game that everyone kind of looks forward to every season. This is it. This is two powerhouses, two of the top teams in the area going at it to start the season. It doesn't get much better.
I think, honestly, beginning of the season, South Range needs this win. Kirtland's out of the division. You need to make an immediate impact. You need to make that immediate statement, right? But I also feel like Springfield needs this win, because after everything you've lost, too, you want to make that, again, immediate impact, show everyone, hey, we're still here. Don't discount us as that team that was. We are still here, still prevalent, still fighting for a great spot in that state title run next year. This is going to be interesting, though, because, I mean, Coach Guerrero, Coach Yeagley are both great coaches. I'm excited to see what Springfield is going to bring. You're going to have to try some different things, because South Range is the more experienced team, bringing back more. And you feel like Springfield's an underdog, but I promise you that's exactly what the Tigers want you to think. So I think this matchup's going to provide all that it's worth, honestly.
Right. Okay, so normally we'd have the interviews from the games, but Anthony, once again, not a professional. There is the actual game going on tonight too. So probably not going to have too many interviews tonight, but DJ's going to be calling that game. And,
DJ's already talked with Coach Guerrero and Coach Yeagley, though. You can find those on our YouTube page. If you were subscribed, hit the notification bell. You already would have, though. But those are both on our YouTube page. So you can literally see the preseason interview with Coach Guerrero and Coach Yeagley. Get yourself ready for that game tonight.
My point is still valid, that they are going to be talking about this game at length tonight in prime time, along with all the other games tonight. I think we're going to try to get some announcers from these games on the prime time as well to preview their side of things. So it's going to be a fun time. Make sure you tune in at 5 o'clock from South Range. Couple matchups left. Toronto at Wellsville. This is a Toronto team that always pops up in our YSN branch. Seems like they play with YSN teams a lot in the non-conference. They're a good football program. Wellsville is that middle tier of the EOAC that I think a lot of people kind of sleep on, but it's a home opener, and they're gonna have I think a good chance to win this game.
Well, Wellsville is one of those programs too that they have athletically good teams typically year in and year out for other sports too. Football wise, they had their struggles last year, but they did put together some nice wins. 4-4, I believe, a year ago, and that's because COVID. It was another team that was battling some COVID issues and getting some scheduling issues too. With whether I can't remember if Wellsville themselves had the issues or if there was issues with the other schools coming up with it and just not getting a team scheduled in time. But yeah, I'd love to see the Tigers get a win here too, being the YSN school that is going to be represented in this one. And you know what? Honestly, you look at what Wellsville had a year ago, a lot of young players that stepped up. I know you were really big on some of these guys going into this season. And honestly, defensively too, they were impressive at times. They held teams to under 20 points per game, and that was 22nd overall in the area in scoring too when you look overall. That's huge for the Tigers. If you're holding a team under 20 points scoring-wise, that offense, you can just adjust a few things. You just need guys to step up, right? You need to figure out some things on offense. But, even then, 21.5 points on offense, that's probably the one thing you're just looking for improvements on. Can we get some more scores, right? Can we be more efficient with offense? Maybe stop those 3-and-outs or stop those long drives that don't result in anything. The defense, you got to figure, is there, and they're returning a bunch of those guys starters-wise on defense from a year ago. So I expect the Tigers to be just as strong there as well.
Newton Falls hitting the road to Spire to play Ashtabula St. John. This is a game that Newton Falls wants to take the opportunity to get some momentum heading into the season. I think it's a winnable game on the road at Spire. Ashtabula St. John is a team that a lot of our YSN teams have taken care of. So a chance for Newton Falls to kind of open the season with a strong victory. Richie Giuliano making the trip to Spire, so hats off to him for doing that for us and getting that game on the network. Last game on the slate is Edgewood at Conneaut. This will be the 4-4-0 and gold team doing this game on YSN. And I'm excited because Edgewood just signed last night. Conneaut is probably in talks. I don't know. I'm just super excited to kind of get into it and learn about these teams because, full disclosure, don't know much about Edgewood and Conneaut football, but we're gonna learn a lot about it tonight.
I know Edgewood and Jefferson have a pretty significant rivalry. So I know a lot about the Jefferson side now, but I'm really hyped to get into the Edgewood side of this rivalry and talk a little bit about that as well.
That's gonna be fun tonight to kind of get it.
So good it'll take your breath away. the football matchups though, you look at all of them though, and I'm excited for all of these matchups. You look at Springfield South Range, sure, but Salem Crestview is going to be fun. Cheney Poland's going to be good. There's a lot of must-see games I think on the network tonight. I'm going to definitely be screen jumping.
Took my breath away. I was so excited. Oh man, one of those days. Life with adult asthma. What can you do? We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have a couple more. Dang, I just need a break. A couple more volleyball previews. Take it. Take it. Oh, God. Get us to break, Ty.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
We are Kent State in the Valley. Start and finish one of more than 25 bachelor's or associate degree programs, or start with Kent State's 280 majors. With low tuition, public, and plenty of scholarship opportunities, We will help you maximize your education and minimize student debt. Enjoy the benefits of a smaller campus with all the opportunities of a large university. Save money, stay close to home. Apply today by visiting kent.edu/Trumbull.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience, WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealth.com. Good luck, athletes!
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
All right, I think I'm better now. Jeez. Anthony Hardwick back with you on Running Point with Ty Bartell, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. And we talked about all the football matchups that are coming to you tonight, 10 of them on the network. Go to ysnlive.com/live to check those games out during kickoff. And make sure to check out YSN Primetime tonight at 5 o'clock for more previews of those games. But we are going to end the day with a couple of volleyball interviews from some players that we think are going to really be strong this year. We're joined by Lauren Pallone and Allison Durkin, both from Girard Volleyball. Girls, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hi, guys.
And we'll start with Lauren, and we'll do your interview, and then we'll turn the camera and get to Allison after. So, but Lauren, what I want to start with, I think you're going to be one of the players that everyone's talking about this year for Girard, and obviously you guys are reigning NEA champions for the first time. What's it feel like to kind of have the target on your back this year and come in as the defending champions and be one of the captains of this team?
As the season started, we knew that we were going to have an X on our back. Since we were so good last year, everyone's going to come for us this year, and especially Lakeview. We want to win the conference again, but so did they. So we knew that we were going to have a red X on our back the whole season. So
it's hard to come off of 450 kills in your sophomore season and try to improve on it, but 494 the junior season. I gotta ask, is 500 in the personal goals, and what kind of work goes into the off season for you to be able to keep up this kind of production for your team year in and year out?
definitely 500 is one of my goals. The off season is just I play club and I'm working really hard during then, and then preseason for school volleyball, like working really hard. Coach Phil helps me a lot during preseason to show me where to hit and show me what spots to get those kills and what teams like we're facing. He gives strategies to help me get kills. So.
I know you're also busy in the club volleyball season. How much has that really helped you grow as a volleyball player and tighten up your skills as you go on in your career?
Every player really that is decent player plays club, and club's just like extra help, and it really is like playing at a high level. So when you come into school, it's like you see the high teams during club season, then you come to school and it's kind of like a look of teams, but you like already have that experience, so you continue your like playing at that high level. So when you come to school, you're already like on top.
You also are great, too, as far as defense is concerned, over 600 digs in your career right now. How important do you take defense into your game, and how much is it prevalent inside that Girard system?
Defense wins games, as Coach Bill says. Without a pass, you can't get a kill or a set, so defense is on the team.
You've been a statistical leader for a while. There's no shock that you'll probably be a statistical leader this year, but as a senior, you're also going to be asked to be a vocal leader and an emotional leader, an energy leader for this team. How much responsibilities have you taken on this year to not just be, once again, the statistical leader, but also try to lead this team in every asset of the game?
As a senior, I feel like I have to be a leader for like the little ones. But getting captain this year is also a really good privilege, and I think me and Allie are really honored to have it, and we're going to do it this year with our voices and leading the team and being role models for the young ones.
When the young ones that are coming up to the team are a little bit intimidated because they know the success this team had a year ago, what are some things you guys can do to try to acclimate them with the team, get them used to it, and realize that they don't have to be, I guess, last year's team, that you guys have a different goal and different work to do this year?
I really don't think that our young ones are intimidated because everyone that we only have one new sophomore, Nico Cochran, which she had the experience last year and she had the experience doing club to be as good as we were last year and help our team out. And I don't think they're intimidated, but when they're struggling, me and Allie just help them and tell them it's okay, good job, and keep their heads up. And they're do fine though. No one's really intimidated on the team yet.
Anyone that has been a fan of Girard volleyball for an established amount of time knows this name Palone because your sister came through before you, and now she's going into, I believe, her junior season at Edinburgh on that volleyball program. How much has she had an impact on your success and given you advice and given you, the role models to succeed?
She really did teach me everything I knew. From a young age, she started volleyball when she was seventh grade, sorry. And I never even heard of volleyball. She would always bring me out to the grass and help me play. And we would just play, and that's how I really learned. And then we would go down to the city gym in Girard, and we would get a bunch of girls, and she would teach us everything we knew. And she really taught me everything. We have the same arm swing, same defense. Like we're identical when we play. So she taught me everything I knew.
Tara Lytle was on earlier, and she shouted you out as one of the best friends that doesn't wear the same jersey as her. I want to know from that perspective and from your end, too, what's it like having one of your good friends play for that rival school that are both gunning for that top spot in the conference?
I don't know if this is rude to say, but we get the inside scoop on the team from the other players, and I don't know, it just makes me want to win even more. And like we're just battling to see who can be like the best team or like who's on top. But Tara's a great player. I love having her on that team, and we just battle each other.
That's okay. She said the exact same thing, that she's given inside information over there too. So all fair in volleyball. When you look at this schedule, and not just Lakeview, obviously everyone's going to circle the Lakeview games because they're who the league come down to the last couple of years. But this schedule you guys put together is tough. I mean, you guys got a lot of non-conference games against a lot of really good volleyball teams. How excited are you for the challenge of this year and trying to go up against really good teams every time you step on the floor and really getting prepared for that tournament that you're going to be in come the end of the season?
I'm really excited because last year we kind of dominated every team. So this year, like, we're going to get a reality check, and we actually have to play our hardest to win each game. And it's going to be a really good, tough schedule because you don't get better playing teams that you just completely dominate and roll over. So these better teams are going to teach us how to play like on top, and we can never get down. We can never get in our lows. So we're going to have to stay on top the whole time. So it's going to teach us a lot, and I'm really excited.
What has volleyball taught you about life, if anything at all?
Really to never give up, and when you fall down to get back up, and I don't know, just never give up because I've never given up, and I don't regret anything I have done yet.
Obviously, you're a student athlete, so there's a student aspect to you. What are some of your favorite things to study in school, and what kind of career do you see yourself in after graduation?
I like to study. I don't really know if I have a favorite study, but after I graduate, I'm going to go into business and maybe marketing and do something with that. But I also want to stay in the sports field, so maybe like sports business or something like that along the lines.
I know you committed recently, I believe Lake Erie College, if I'm not mistaken. What made the decision to go there easy for you two? And just talk about your excitement of being able to play at the next level and having that off of your plate before the start of the season.
A big reason I went there is because the coach, his name's Coach Lee, and he's the best person ever. He was my sister's old assistant coach at Edinburgh, and then he transferred to Lake Erie as head coach. and we always knew each other. We have a really good bond, and he's really personable, and that's what I like in a coach. He's also a really good coach, and I'm so excited. I'm beyond excited to get the opportunity to even play at the collegiate level, and I'm really excited to go there.
Does Lake Erie play Edinburgh?
No, they do not.
Okay. I was hoping that there might be a possibility of Cologne versus Cologne. See, have you guys ever gone one-on-one, just like in the backyard or in the gym on the offside, to go up against each other?
Yeah. Our coach wants to schedule a scrimmage against us when we're both in college.
Who do you think would have the upper hand on that?
I don't know.
We'll have to see.
I'd want to see for sure.
Playing it close to the vest. I want to get to a couple of rapid fire questions before we move on to Allison and get to know you a little bit off the court too. So what is one thing that you cannot live without?
I cannot. Probably my family.
If we took away all technology from you, you had no internet connection, you couldn't be on your phone, what are some hobbies that you would have to keep yourself entertained?
Well, one obviously is volleyball, but I also be outside a lot and like play in the woods. I grew up in the woods. That's what my family lean to. So,
what's your favorite outdoor activity in the woods?
Riding.
Like a bike?
Riding quads, like 4-wheelers.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay. What are some things that if someone was trying to get to know you, like what are some things that not a lot of people know about you that you think that they should?
I'm a very nonchalant, like not caring. I usually go everywhere in shorts and a volleyball shirt, as you can see right now. I don't really care about like looking pretty and stuff like that. It's basically what I can say.
We know you're talented on the volleyball court. What are some of your hidden talents? Things that you have that you know are quirky talents, I should say.
I'm not sure. I can't really think of any.
Who is your favorite teacher in the Girard school system?
Mr. Johnson. He's a history.
All right. We'll let you go. Before we do, I just want to give you a chance to shout out your support system and all the people that are there for you throughout your career.
Well, I'd like to thank my family, all my friends, and the teammates, and definitely Coach Phil for making me the player I am.
All right, let's turn that camera to Allison and let's get Allison some love on YSN too. Allison, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today on Running Point, and we're happy to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
I mean, Allison, let's start off with first and foremost, over 1,000 assists with this program now. I mean, you were able to capture that last year. What's it mean to you that you've been able to be such a center point of this offense and creating opportunities for other players? And what's the kind of goals for you coming back in your swan song of the senior season?
Just being a setter, you got to be the quarterback and you got to your hitters. You got to make everything work for them. So being a setter, you just got to get the ball to them and make sure everything flows. For my senior season, I'm just, trying to be the best team we can be. Such a great connection. I want to try and make everything flow. So just by, getting the ball and letting them do what they can do. I mean, great hitters. Our line is really good. So I'm really excited to see what they can do.
I know we asked Lauren this. You've been a statistical leader throughout your career, but now, you're a senior. You got to be an emotional leader. You got to be a vocal leader. You're a setter too. So what kind of things have you grown in this year? And what kind of things are you putting on yourself this year to be not just a statistical leader of the team, but also a vocal leader as well?
To be a leader, to have the younger kids look up to us. I mean, we have 3 younger kids. The rest are seniors. So, to be there for one another, help each other out. If someone gets down, help them pick them back up. Keep each other positive. Be positive, and it helps everyone win. Just be the best for everyone. Gotta pick each other up. So that's the way we think of it, me and Lauren. Just try to be the best leaders out there and keep everyone, in the game.
I mean, I know you are also pretty close to on that 1,000 digs list. Is that a goal for you this season? And also, I'm curious, how deep is the knowledge of the the attackers that you have go? How well do you know where the ball needs to be placed? Like, how deep does that knowledge have to go for you?
Pretty good. I mean, working with Lauren for the last 4 years, you find out where the hitters want their ball, where the ball, what's best for them. And along with Brie Littell, I've had her for the past 3 seasons, they figure out where they want the ball. Along with, Ezra Dede and Maddie Melito, I've been working with them for the club the past 7 years. You figure out your hitters, and that's what we work on at practice every day. What's best for them, what's most accessible for them to be able to put the ball down, and that's the way we work with it. But it is, you just got to figure them out. It takes a little bit of time, but that's what you have preseason for. You work on that together, and becomes a connection. But definitely to try to reach 1,000 digs. My senior season is a goal of mine. I'd be really excited and really thrilled if I reached it, but that's my goal.
You're a multiple sport athlete. It feels like you're always busy. You club volleyball, basketball, all the things that you do. What kind of things do you do to kind of keep your time management skills where they need to be that busy? And was it something that you kind of had to teach yourself, or have you always been organized enough to kind of keep yourself that busy?
No, I've never really been an organized person. I'm going from sport to sport. It all kind of flows into routine. Going to school, going to practice, coming home, doing homework. Repeating the same day. It all kind of flows into one, and after one sport, it's always another. So that kind of keeps you into a routine and keeps you straight. So that's the way I think of it, at least. It's one sport to another, and it just helps you stay in a routine.
What is one sport that you don't play that you'd like to throw your hat into the ring to?
Definitely golf. I would love to try golf.
What is your earliest memory with the sport of volleyball, and when do you first remember yourself falling in love with the sport?
Definitely my first club season. It was actually with Coach Phil. He brought me, Lauren, Maddie Melito, and Ezra Dede all onto a team. That kind of fell in love with the sport. When we all from then, we've been playing ever since we were in 5th grade, and that's how it all started.
And like you said, you have a coach that not only has coached you in the high school realm, but has coached you in club volleyball as well. That's got to be a major trust factor to have with your coach, and to have this comfortability with Phil and the coaching staff at Girard. What kind of advantage is that for you to have a guy that's been kind of coaching you your whole career?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, Coach has always been there for us, always helped us with the club, always helped us with everything else. He's such a great coach and such a great person that you got to trust him on whatever he says. Coach Phil's always right. He's perfect. He never does anything wrong. And
what's kind of like, if you had to impersonate Coach, what's one thing that he always says, or one thing that is kind of like a running theme of his coaching style?
So whenever we make a mistake, he says, "I'm perfect and I don't make mistakes." And then heel and point forever, meaning that, go all out, that's get the point, So that's usually what he says.
When you look at this, I mean, there's all kinds of great memories that are made on the court. What are some of your favorite memories that you've made off the court with this team?
We have a lot of team bonding. We like to eat. We like to go out to dinner, spend a lot of time together, do stuff as a team. I mean, we're really close the past 2 seasons. I mean, going 24-2 this past preseason, we've gotten extremely close. We like to go to dinner and just hang out. I mean, we're all super close.
What is Girard Volleyball's favorite food spot?
Definitely Mexican.
When you go to a Mexican place, what's the go-to order?
Definitely a quesadilla and rice. That's what everyone gets.
See, like, we had this discussion with Tara before you, and I hope that Mexican menu is not a pregame meal. I'm shaking thinking about eating a burrito before going and playing volleyball.
You look at this, though. You look at this season that's coming up. I know you guys have a lot of expectations for the season after coming away as champs. We asked Tara about what it was like going from defending to chasing. I want to ask you kind of the reverse question. What is it like now being the defending NE8 champions, going in with that mindset as opposed to being the chasers?
Well, our freshman year, we had a chance to, tie the last second, but coming strong, we really wanted to have. So that's what we learned last year. We're just trying to
repeat it again this year, and that's really one of our goals this year. Take down the tough teams and get back the back-to-back champion.
All right, before we let you go, like Lauren, I want to give you some rapid fire questions. I want to start with what is your favorite kind of family night board game to play with your family?
Definitely Uno.
Who wins at Uno? Who's the family champion at the game of Uno?
Usually my dad. My dad is a big game.
Who's the most competitive member of your family?
I would say myself out of my family. Sure.
So when you're hanging out with your family, which one is the funniest?
Definitely my sister Lindsay.
All right, now I'm gonna give you a chance to throw some shade. Who thinks they're funny but really isn't?
Definitely my middle sister Sydney. She.
What is one thing your siblings like they know that they can do to really get you upset? Like your pet peeve with your siblings?
They definitely like to agitate me. Since being the youngest, when I get upset, they're definitely all just come at me and agitate me, and that's what they know how to do, and it really makes me upset.
Personal pet peeves. What are some things that people do that like maybe other people don't think is a big deal, but it just gives you those goosebumps and makes you kind of cringe?
Definitely a loud eater. That's one of my biggest pet peeves.
What is your favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
If people were to look at your Instagram, what do you think they learn about you just from your Instagram profile?
Definitely that I'm with my friends a lot and I play volleyball. Those are basically
when you think about some of the things that you like doing outside of volleyball, what are some of your hobbies and things that you do to entertain yourself when maybe sports needs a little bit of a break?
Definitely with my friends. We have a really tight friend group, and we're basically with each other on some type of school event or volleyball. I'm with my friends.
I'm going to give a chance to shout out maybe who's your best friend that's not an athlete?
Best friend that's not an athlete. Definitely. She has always been a big supporter of us, and for me, she's been there every step of the way. Never misses a game. She's always right by my side and supports whatever I do.
What sport at Girard gets the best student sections?
I would say football games, but volleyball games are making.
Who's in charge of those student sections for volleyball? Like, who should we shout out and say, like, hey, they need to put together a strong student section?
Sophia Littell, she's the biggest hype man out there. She's always excited for us. And she's always ready for us to go. She definitely does a really well job, even.
What's your favorite vacation spot?
Florida, Clearwater, Florida.
What's one place that you haven't vacation that you would like to?
Bora Bora. I'd love to go there.
Are you more of a road trip person, or do you like to fly to places?
Definitely a fly person. I hate the car.
When you look back at your time at Girard, what are going to be some of your favorite memories, not just with the athletics programs, but also just with the school system?
When the football team went to state, I was in 8th grade. That's when we were all in the high school. The whole hallways in school was all decorated and stuff. And when we had to send off, that was really exciting.
We asked Lauren what her favorite subject is. I'm going to ask you what your least favorite subject in school is.
Definitely math.
And then what is one thing that people don't know about you that you think they should?
I'm a very outgoing person. I love to meet new people and make new friends.
All right, Allison, before we let you go, I want to give you a chance to shout out your support system and the people that are always there for you.
Definitely my family. I have a really big family. They support me in everything I do. And my friends. My friends are always there every step of the way. Those are my two biggest supporters. And, my team that I play with, they're always supportive. And everyone so supportive, my friends.
Allie, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate you coming on. We look forward to covering you all volleyball season, and we wish you the best of luck and all the success in the world.
For having us.
All right, Lauren Pallone and Allison Durkin, both captains of this Girard volleyball team that we think are going to be just as good as they were last year. It's going to be fun to watch them play all season, and they both joined us on Running Point. We thank them both for their time. And make sure to catch Girard volleyball, not just on YSN Live this year, but also go in there and check out a match for yourself. You can't get respect for volleyball unless you're in the gym and you see this ball move and you see how hard they're hitting the ball. And those two are some of the best in the business. And make sure to go out there to Girard and see a game or two if you get the time.
I know you and I were battling pretty hard over that Fitch Girard matchup, and you got it too. You jumped on it the second you could too. That's gonna be a heck of a matchup, but just one of many great matchups that Girard has this season. They are definitely testing themselves in the non-conference. But I tell you what, that conference is going to be fun. Lakeview's going to be bringing it. They're hungry, especially the way it ended in the tournament a year ago. And I tell you what, Hubbard's another team that we're hearing a lot of good things about. They're a team that's always a wild card. They've had good programs before, and you can't ever discount the Eagles. But this is, like we've said before, it's Girard's conference until it isn't. So they hold the reins until someone takes it.
They're holding them firmly. They opened the season on Saturday against Canfield. Richie Giuliano will have the call for that game, so it will be on ysnlive.com. So don't miss the season opener for Girard and Canfield on Saturday. That'll be fun. As far as today goes, we're going to sign off and have a 22-hour break. Be back tomorrow from 12 to 2. Casual Sports Podcast coming up next. No power hour today because everyone's busy setting up prime time. So make sure to watch YSN Primetime tonight at 5, live from South Range. A lot of fun, a lot of more in-depth coverage of the matchups tonight. We'll have announcers from each spot there on Primetime as well. It's going to be a lot of fun, so make sure to catch that at 5 o'clock. And then game time at 7. 10 matchups on the network tonight. Make sure to go over to ysnlive.com/live to find all the matchups. And if you want to watch all of them at once, go to Audible Call with Mike Ackelson. We are starting our 3rd season of the Audible Call tonight, and every year we come up with something a little bit new, a little bit more intense. And let me just tell you, without giving anything away, this Audible Call is going to look a little bit different. It's gonna have a couple of bells and whistles that maybe it didn't have last year that are going to be really fun to kind of catch. And you don't want to miss the Audible Call with Mike Ackelson at 7 o'clock, going along with kickoff, and then the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard Show after. It's going to be a busy night. And then we'll be back tomorrow to talk. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about even more football matchups. And we'll also talk about some volleyball matchups tomorrow too, because Saturday kicks off the volleyball season.
We're excited for it too. Fall sports